Hey everyone, what's going on? It is Zach, and with the Indigo disc just a few hours away, I thought I would talk about abilities, especially hidden abilities. With more people jumping into Pokemon, or back into Pokemon, and especially Pokemon VGC every generation, there may be a few players that don't have some Pokemon with these hidden abilities yet. So I wanted to put some information out there for Pokemon to look out for in the Terra raids, because that is the best way to get hidden abilities besides the ability patch, just for people to start building bonds for competitive breeding. And if you guys enjoy this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. Now, real quick on hidden abilities, there are 3 ways to get hidden abilities in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The first one is the ability patch, which isn't the easiest item to farm, so I tend to save those for situations where I need a hidden ability quickly, or I have a shiny Pokemon that I want to have its hidden ability to use for competitive. The second is breeding with a parent Pokemon of the same species that has that hidden ability. If you have that hidden ability, you don't need to worry about this, so just breed away with your best Ditto. And the last one is Terra raids. Now, Terra raids 3 stars and up, which will probably be most of them in the Indigo disc, will give those Pokemon a chance to have their hidden ability. So targeting those raids will be an easy way for new players to quickly gather a large catalog of Pokemon with these hidden abilities, especially if they don't have these Pokemon already sitting in Pokemon Home or previous games. There are a few Pokemon that I think you should look at for the Terra raids while you are traveling in the Blueberry Academy for the Indigo Disc DLC, and the first one is Exeggutor, especially the Alolan one, because we don't know how the evolution between Exeggutor and Alolan Exeggutor is going to go in this DLC. So we know that there is story missions that involve Alolan Exeggutor, so there is probably Terra raids that also involve Alolan Exeggutor. So this is the one that I would go after first. With regular Exeggutor and Alolan Exeggutor, their hidden ability is the same, Harvest. This makes them really good Trick Room mons. So if you want to go for Trick Room, you can set up Trick Room next to something like a Torkoal and use the Citrus Berry to continuously get health back. So you can bulk this out, which its bulk isn't too bad. But it's a really good special attacker. So the grass typing will threaten the water type Pokemon that want to threaten Torkoal, and so you can use this Trick Room, protect something like Giga Drain, and then like Dragon Pulse or another move, for example. But this would be a really good way to help deal with those ground and water types that want to threaten Torkoal. And having that Citrus Berry and Harvest means that in the sun, you are getting that berry back every single time with Harvest. Without the sun, it is a 50% chance. Next up is Smeargle. Do I really need to explain why you want to look out for Moody Smeargle? So what Moody does is that you get a boost, a +2 in a random stat, and you get a -1 every single turn. Now, it is a little bit weakened because it's not accuracy or evasion. When it was evasion, if you got that +2 in evasion, Smeargle was down to really destroy stuff. But getting a +2 in speed right off the bat is really good. Having the Focus Ash with Fake Out, Spiky Shield, and Spore, you can really cause problems with the Smeargle. We know what Smeargle does. It's going to be weird to see what Smeargle does in a format with Urshifu, but we'll have to see how that goes. And a lot of priority, in all honesty. Next one is Meowstic Male. So Meowstic Male has the ability Prankster, and what is, I think, really unique about it is that it has Prankster's skill swap. So I've seen this before in probably Sun and Moon, like way back in the day, where someone did skill swap on Amoonguss and then they just got free spores. So that's definitely something I want to try out. There is also Thunder Wave for those mons that can't be put to sleep, and Fake Out as well. So you can just throw another attacking move on here, maybe Psychic, and you can set up your Amoonguss to put everything to sleep if they're not prepared for it, which I think is really cool. One thing I did notice while working on this video is that Sableye does the same thing. I will say that While Sableye has some benefits, like being a ghost and dark type, so it's not only immune to fake out right off the rip, but it's also immune to other prankster mons. Meowstic is a little bit bulkier, just barely, not by much, but it is a little bit bulkier and it is faster. So that's something to look out for. Like Meowstic is definitely a little bit better, but then Sableye definitely has some pros to it. Either way, scary combo with Amoonguss, I'm not gonna lie. And the last one is Duraludon and Archaludon. So while everyone's looking at stamina for Archaludon, I do think Stalwart will be really good because redirection, whether it comes from Wellspring Ogerpon, our Amoonguss, our Clefairy, like Duraludon can handle it. Having that Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, Snarl, like Draco Meteor, and Thunderbolt here, if you really needed to, you'd probably change it for Electro Shot if you have Archaludon, but that does the best in rain, so keep that in mind. You might want to go for Thunderbolt if you're running a non-rain team. Being able to ignore redirection in this format can be really good because we haven't seen too many mons that do it. The only one I can really think of is Inteleon, and maybe some moves that can ignore redirection. But other than that, like, it's going to be good to have a mon that can just ignore it outright. And that's it for the hidden ability mons. These are really the only mons that I saw that I thought had a hidden ability that was beneficial in VGC. Next, I wanted to point out some ones that you just want to make sure that you get throughout your play that aren't hidden ability, but it is something you need to keep in mind. The easiest one is going to be Clear Body Metagross. Its only regular ability, its hidden ability is Light Metal, which is absolutely useless because it doesn't do anything for Metagross. Solid Rock Rhyperior, which is receiving 3/4 less damage, or 3/4 damage from super effective attacks. So this is a really good thing, especially now with Terastallization. Even if you brought some of Rhyperior's ×4 weaknesses down to ×2, with the Solid Rock ability, that is going to go a long way, especially with a Pokemon with this much physical defense. Like a good defensive Terra with a Assault Vest in Trick Room, this thing definitely has the capability to do work. But I do think a lot of people will be prepared for it. But this is definitely something you want to keep in mind. Its hidden ability is Reckless, which is good, but not as good defensively as Solid Rock. Next up is Lapras. Lapras has a good amount of abilities, all usually going around rain or water type attacks with Hydration and Water Absorb. But the most important one, especially in a Urshifu dominant format and the Ogerpons as well, is the Shell Armor. So this Pokemon cannot get hit by critical hits. So when Urshifu Surging strikes into it, it is only going to do regular damage, which is something we don't see a lot with Urshifu. If you're going against the Ogerpons, you can not worry about the random chance for the critical hit, the increased boost for that critical hit, because you know Lapras is immune to it. So I do think that Lapras with Shell Armor is definitely something you want to keep out for and keep an eye on when you see it in the Indigo disc. The next one is Whimsicott. Whimsicott, of course, its first ability is Prankster. We all know what Whimsicott does. So Whimsicott is just the last one, the really obvious one as well with Metagross. And then the last ones I wanted to bring up is the starters. So the reason why I saved the starters for last is because we don't know really how we're going to be able to just hunt them. Are they going to be wild encounters? Or are we going to encounter some of them maybe in Terra raids? Probably not. So I would have to say these are probably going to be the Pokemon you want to save your ability patch for. And the first one I'm going to say is Feraligatr. I do think, you know, someone is going to cook with Feraligatr and it's going to be really good because of the ability Sheer Force, where it gets a boost, basically a free life orb, but it nullifies the second ability of effects. So like Waterfall, for example, you get the high base power of that attack, but you don't get the chance to flinch. So what you can do with Sheer Force is you can tack on a life orb. So basically you're hitting Pokemon with stab moves with 2 life orbs. I would also say to run Ice Punch as well. So you can run Ice Punch, Waterfall, and honestly between those two, like, you're hitting a lot. Like the Ice Punch takes care of the grass and the ground types that are landers, for example, that want to switch in and intimidate Feraligatr because it is a physical attacker. But I would say you could do something like Dragon Dance, because I believe it does get Dragon Dance as a move. I don't have the format pick, so everything's coming as illegal. And then maybe Protect. So this would be decent. Probably look at what kind of Terror type works best for it. I was thinking Steel, and I was trying to find a Steel type move that does really well with Feraligatr, but Feraligatr doesn't get a lot of Steel type moves. The next one is Superior. Contrary reverses all stat changes. So if something drops your special attack after you use it, like Superior wouldn't get it, but Overheat, for example. Overheat is a -2, Make It Rain is a -1. The biggest example that we saw is like Superpower, which drops the attack and defense. So instead on Superior, it actually boosts it up. Superior uses Leaf Storm, which is a -2 with Superior. Leaf Storm is actually a +2 instead of a -2. So if you can protect this Mon and get a bunch of Leaf Storms off, this can do a whole lot of damage. So I do think it would have a lot of utility to go with it, and it doesn't have bad speed, it doesn't have bad bulk, so you can do a lot with this. The last one is Primarina, and for Primarina you want things like Liquid Voice, because Liquid Voice can do something really cool with like Pear Song, where Pear Song and its signature move, I forget what it's called, Sparkling Aria, can heal your water Pokemon next to you. So you can have something like a Wellspring Ogerpon, and you can heal it up while damaging your opponents, which could be really good. This also makes Hyper Voice, which is normally a normal type attack, into a water attack. So you have a spread water type attack that is really good. And Primarina has a decent move pool, and the Fairy typing is going to help against Urshifu and also other dark type Pokemon. First example I can think of is Chien-Pao. Like there's not much that Chien-Pao can do to Primarina, being a fairy and water type. But yeah, that is going to be all. Tell me in the comments down below, which Pokemon do you want to get first with what ability. For me, it's definitely Rhyperior. I want to get Rhyperior. I have enough Whimsicots, I shouldn't have to worry about that. And I want to see how we can hunt the starters. I can't wait to try to get some shiny starters. But anyways, if this video helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe. I should be streaming the DLC, so make sure you check it out when you see me live. But until next time, I'm Zach. We'll see everyone later.